How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Good. My name is Rose. What's your name?
It's nice to meet you, Rose. I'm Richard.
Nice to meet you, Richard.
And where are you from, Rose?
I am from the United States.
That's nice. Which
Yes.
state are you in?
Washington State.
Washington, D.C. or
No,
only Washington?
Washington State. So there's Washington, D.C.,
D.C.
which
and
is a
Washington.
city on the
Okay.
East Coast, and then Washington State, which is a state on the West Coast. And I'm on
Uh,
the
s-
West Coast.
okay. So you guys say Washington State instead of.
Yes, to clarify.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. That's really cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, do you live in Seattle?
I live very close to Seattle, actually.
That's
So
great
I can hop
because
on a ferry and go right to it.
That's that's really interesting because I love Seattle. I want to go
Yeah.
there one day because I watched that series called Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, yes, yes. I love Grays.
Yeah, and it was made in Seattle. So
hmm
that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I can tell a lot of books behind you. That's so interesting.
Yes. Yeah, I love
Oh,
to read. Let's see, on this side are all of my nonfiction books. So like
okay.
informational books, true stories, things like that. And then on this side are all my fiction books. And this is actually not every book I own. I like have a stack right here, stacks around my house that my husband is forever like moving other places. So this
That's
is
so
not
great.
everything, but yeah, I love books.
And I'm so impressed by you are so organized and
Mhm.
it's so interesting. I'd like to be like you, because I kind of mess it up. If I
Yeah.
if I had a lot of books like
Mhm.
you, I would let them, spread in the house. So
Yeah. They definitely spread. I have, like I said, I have a stack of books next to me. There's a desk in my bedroom that has a couple of stacks of books, and books just kind of find their way around the house.
oh,
So this is like their central place, but I'm running out of room in these shelves, and the other shelf I have is not built yet. So
I see.
yeah, so
And
like
have you
trying to.
counted how many books do you have?
I did at one point, but that was over. Let me think. It was almost 2 years ago, so it's not accurate anymore. But almost 2 years ago, I had close to 200. I probably have more. I definitely have more than that now. Maybe like
Oh
250.
my
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah,
you inspire me. Yeah, a lot.
yeah. Thank you. I have a
That's really
lot of
big.
reading to do.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Because I like reading, especially
Mhm,
when I started studying English. That's so
mhm.
interesting. But I haven't read any English book yet. I'd
Mm,
like to, but
yeah.
I don't have a lot of times because I am studying college and I have to write my thesis. And so,
Mhm.
but when I finish it, I'd like to start reading English books,
Yeah,
which I think will allow me to expand my vocabulary.
yeah.
As you have over 2,000 books, I think you have
200,
there.
200.
200. Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
over
200.
200. Yeah, not that,
Okay,
not
over
2000.
200. You, yeah, one day we will reach
Yes,
3,000, right?
I hope so. I hope so. I would love like to, like in those, if you ever seen like period films where they have like, they're in the really old Victorian houses where like they have rooms with like floor to ceiling books. Like I want my house to be like that. So
You want to have a library at home, right?
yes, yeah, yeah.
That's so interesting,
Mhm.
and I think you have a huge vocabulary because you read a lot. That's so interesting.
Yeah, I've learned a lot from reading for sure, and it's definitely helped improve my vocabulary. It helped improve it from a young age, which is very useful. So for you, if you want recommendations for books, I don't know if you have a list yet,
I don't
but
have it yet.
okay, I always recommend people start, especially when you're learning English, you start with the Harry Potter series because the Harry Potter series were written with the intent were for children with the intent of them growing up with Harry. So the first book is written at like a middle school-ish reading level. So
Okay.
it's pretty easy, like as an adult, it's very easy to get through that book in for me to get through that book in a day. And based on how well you speak, you are more than likely above a middle school level as far as your reading goes. But that's a good starting point because each book increases in reading difficulty. So it's good for you, for any English language learner, to ease into reading adult level books, which is probably the goal since you're a grown up to read adult books. So that I always recommend that because it kind of helps you progress through the reading levels. And
That's
not a
really
lot of
great.
series do that. So, because I have other series that I love to read and that I enjoy recommending, but Harry Potter is very unique in that
Exactly.
way. So,
I totally agree with you. I have
yeah.
watched all the Harry Potter movies
Oh,
and
awesome.
it was great. Yes,
Yeah.
but I have watched it in Portuguese, my first language,
Yeah.
and I'd like to do it again in English. So
You should.
first I'd like to watch the movies again and
Hmm.
then read the books. And
Yes.
I didn't know that the books were kind of increasing their
Hmm.
level.
Hmm.
That's so interesting. That's really
Yeah.
great. Thank you. So I will start by reading Harry Potter.
Yes, good, awesome, and it will help that for you that you've seen the movies because you're already familiar with the story, so that will kind of help you if there's like words, sentences, paragraphs that you have trouble with. That will help you kind of work through those difficulties. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously,
I
the movies aren't perfect reproductions of the books, but they are a good reference point, so they'll help you.
exactly. And
Hmm.
there are some there are a lot of information in the books.
Hmm.
So I think when I read those books, I will feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
so interesting. There are so many things.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I think in the movies they kind of, what is the word? They summarize
Yeah,
better.
they make it more of a summary or they water it down somewhat because they cut a lot of stuff out. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So we lose a lot of information. So
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
why. But yes, but I feel like, oh my gosh, because when we read, I think uh, the reason why we read is because we want to imagine the
Hmm.
characters,
Hmm.
the plays, the stories, and things like that. And
Hmm.
as I have already watched the movies, I will kind of, I already know how Harry Potter is. So
Hmm. Yeah, well, and that it will help you, and then it will give you a richer experience of the story to read it. There's especially the which book is it? The Goblet of Fire. You are going to love that book so much because like the movie is okay, like the movie is good, but there is so much more that's going on in the book that they like completely left out. Like there's an entire character that they just cut out of the book of the movie that I think really makes this character really makes the story. She makes it very important and does a lot of things in the story that you miss out on because she's not in the movie. So you'll get this whole new character that's really important and really cool, and you get to kind of go through some of these experiences that Harry goes through that you just don't see in the movie because they had to take the Goblet of Fire, I think is, if it's not the longest book, it's one of the longer books in the series. And they had to cut out so much to like fit it into a standard movie length. And I was so upset. I like couldn't finish the movie because I like had to I'm gonna watch the whole thing eventually, but it was just so disappointing because there were so many things that they had to leave out that I thought were just so crucial to the story. So
exactly,
yeah.
I think you were like,
Oh,
1 minute, please. Okay, let me put my iPhone charger.
okay.
My battery is low right now. 1 minute. Cambly requires a lot of battery.
Yes, I'm sure it does.
Yes. 1 minute, please. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's okay right now.
Yeah.
So I think you are just like me because when I watch a movie and I have already read the book, and when I see something strange, I feel like, oh my gosh, it's not like this
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
movie.
exactly.
And I feel upset, but
Hmm.
I understand that they have to cut out a lot of things, but we
Hmm.
there is no way out. We feel like that.
Yeah, yeah. But it's still like it's like that was like one of it's always like my favorite books that it feels the most personal when they do that. Like there were two books that I read that I think once you get to a higher reading level, I mean I don't know exactly where you're at, but two books that are really really good are Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card and oh my word, the name of the book just left my brain. Hang on. Let me look at this shelf. It's here, there it is. Okay. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. These two books are like the only way to describe them is they are just an amazing ride. Like they are nonstop incredible, like a very deep and rich story, like very well thought out, like futures, like with they're sci-fi and they're futuristic, obviously. But like the background and the details are very well thought out. They're beautifully crafted stories. You come away like panting because you're just like, that was the most amazing book ever. And
That's interesting.
both of the movies were such a disappointment. They like on their own, each movie, like if I had never known these movies were based on books, I would have been like, it's great. It's an amazing movie. I love it. So much, so great, so much fun. But like when you compare them to how amazing these books are, you just come away so disappointed. Especially like Ready Player One, the main character has to go through these different like they're kind of trials. He's like he's playing this game to try and get this prize, and he's competing with like thousands of millions of people around the world. And they cut out like half of the steps to this game, which from a movie standpoint makes sense,
Okay.
but they were actually part of like the game creator's history, and these steps are really important to like the main character like winning the game and solving the issues and to like even his own personal history. And so I was kind of like, these are so important though. Ender's Game was similar too. There was some stuff like some character development that they missed out on because they cut it out. But unfortunately, Richard, I'm so sorry. I just gave you a whole rant about all of that, and my reservation is calling, so I have to go.
Okay. No
But it
worries,
was
it's all
very
good. But you are
yes,
so interesting, and you have so many books, and I want to talk to you again
yes. I will
when you
send
have the
you.
time.
I'll send you my schedule when I get a moment.
That sounds great. Thanks
Great.
so much. Have a
Yep.
great rest of your day.
You
Okay.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.